Welcome to part 2 of the front wheel bearing replacement for my 2001 Mercedes Benz E55 AMG daily driver. In the previous segment, we removed all the components necessary to access the bearing. By the end of this video, you will see the process come to a conclusion. To remove the seal, we're going to clamp the hub in a vise and use a seal puller. This one is indexable and it's from Mac Tools. You get the hooked part under the lip of the seal and just pop it out. With the grease seal out, we can now remove the larger tapered roller bearing that faces the inside of the hub. A trick I learned is to stuff the hub with paper towels and just push it through. It gets the majority of the grease out of there with minimal effort. Time to drive out the first bearing race. I don't have the proper extractor to perform this operation, so with the hub in the vise, I'm going to apply heat to the outer surface just to make my life easier. A brass drift and a hammer did the trick, but not without some struggles. The bearing race on the outer face of the hub is the easier one, because you can get some arbors in there and just press it out. This is one of my favorite things to do, just having everything apart like this and cleaning it on the bench. I'm using industrial degreaser and a variety of wire wheels on these parts. Going through them all and getting them super clean is super satisfying. Two parts to pay particular attention to are the hub to rotor mating surfaces, the brake caliper slide bolts, and the brake caliper bracket. Time to get our new parts ready. We have a new dust seal, a new bearing set for the rear of the hub, and a new bearing set for the front of the hub. We're going to press in the larger outer race first on the back of the hub. Place the outer race in like so. Next, we'll use the old outer race and place it on top of the new one. We'll add a few press arbors, and here we go. Time to get greasy. This is NLGI number 2 bearing grease, and we're going to take some and just slather it on both of the bearing races. Now it's time to pack the bearings. Take some grease and smear it on your palm. The idea here is to scrape the bearing on your palm to force the grease in between the rollers. You should see grease emerging from the other side if you did it correctly. Time to place the tapered roller bearings in their races. Next, we're going to drive in the dust seal on the back of the hub. The best thing about bearing grease is, as disgusting as it looks, it does come off with relative ease. Time to grease up the hub. Next, we install the hub assembly. Then we'll snug up the retaining nut. Let's adjust bearing preload. The old way to adjust preload is to spin the wheel and then tighten the retaining nut until the wheel begins to bind. Then back off on the nut and clamp it down. Doing it this way is not accurate at all, so we're going to use a dial indicator instead. With the rotor bolted to the hub and the dial indicator magnetic base set on the rotor, we will position the needle on the center of the hub and then rock the rotor back and forth at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. to get a reading. The reading should be 0.01 millimeters to 0.02 millimeters, or between 4 10,000ths and 8 10,000ths. When we have reached the specified preload, we tighten the retaining nut. Final step is to fill the dust cap with grease, up to the tapered joint, and install.